Yep.
Men's soccer here with assistant coach Brandon Bautista, Marc Bonafe, Diego Chavez. Coach, you guys got a much-needed win over the weekend, a 4-0 victory over Colorado Christian. Kind of go over that weekend, what that meant for the team, how you guys are feeling coming off of that.
Yeah, no, it started with training during the week. I think the guys have really started to take it a session at a time, each exercise at a time. So we had 3 very good sessions going into the game, and really built into, from the start, the pre-match, the warm-up, guys were really sharp. I think in terms of the performance standards, they were intense in pressing, intense in transition. When we got to the final third, we had some quality, executed on set pieces. So it was kind of a well-rounded performance, matched by a lot of energy with the guys. So
Yeah, you guys are kind of going through a middle of the season, a little bit of lull right there, a little bit of ups and downs, and then you guys kind of seem to figure it all out this weekend. Was there anything that you did differently besides training in the week, but to kind of reset your mind and go into a new way towards the end of this back end of the RMAC season?
yeah, there's some bumps on the road. I think it's been a learning process for a lot of the guys. We've had a lot of freshmen playing important minutes, kind of figuring out what it means to be successful at this level. I think in terms of the approach to the game, it was just focusing on the small things, focusing on the details. Whether it was attacking work, defensive work, just really buying into, all right, this is what we're doing. This is what I need to execute. Not getting too ahead of ourselves and getting lost in trying to think about the matches ahead. So I think really focusing on, the bit by bit, the process of it really led us into a good performance in the game.
And Diego and Marc, you guys have both kind of been leaders on both ends of the field for offense and defense. How have you guys kind of sparked that recently with that win and moving on to this week where you have a couple of really talented opponents? How are you going to kind of lead that team into this back end and to some big games that are going to mean something for conference?
Yeah, I think like Coach was saying, the details matter, and I think a lot of that has been able to kind of project through the team. And I think personally, from a leadership aspect, from a chemistry aspect, I think that's been something that has really helped us, especially in this last win. I think kind of regrouping as a team and understanding that like every person on the team matters and chemistry matters really. Considering our circumstances with our injuries, I think it got to the point where a lot of guys couldn't just kind of hide. Our freshmen couldn't just hide and not show character or not show their ability. It was one of those things where we all kind of had to grow and put ourselves in uncomfortable situations in order to get that win. And I think that's going to continue being our goal in these next coming weeks. Is you spend so much time with somebody, you kind of start to get annoyed, almost like a brotherhood, right? But I think with us going into this week, it's one of those things where we just got to value each other, and that I think that's what showed on our last game, and that's what's going to show in these upcoming games, especially against top tier opponents.
Yeah, from my side, I'll say basically keep training like we've been doing last week. Keep working for each other, and the result will come.
You kind of mentioned on the injuries, Coach, and I know that's kind of been a nagging issue all year. And so many freshmen had to come into play because of that aspect. How do you feel that growth has gone from the beginning of the season to now for all the experience they've been learning?
Yeah, from the start, coming into a new team, there's an adaptation period, right? Whether you're coming from a different country, whether you're coming from a different city, it's an entirely different environment. Early on, the guys had time to kind of mesh, build the chemistry together. A lot of the schedule being on the road kind of limited some of the opportunities for some of the guys to get to know one another. And we had a lot of upperclassmen that were, in big roles. So, along the way, so a lot of these freshmen that are kind of seeing these opportunities now are, they're seeing what is working, what isn't working. Injuries have been a thing, a common theme this season. Seems like, some get healthy, some get hurt, some get healthy, some get hurt. But guys are starting to step up. I think throughout the process of coming into a new environment is what is your role? And if you have to adapt your role, are you prepared to adapt to that role? And it's a process, right? And I think some of these guys are really kind of learning what it means. They're playing for each other. They're playing for the badge. And I think the biggest thing, regardless of what their roles are, it's really buying into what's in the moment. What do I need to execute today? How can I find success today to lead me to the next day and to the next match?
And Coach, also kind of going back to that win at Christian, kind of explain how that timing of the win, especially getting ready for this very tough stretch, kind of explain the difference in mentality, in the locker room, on the training pitch, and then for you guys in coaching, kind of explain how that's helped your mentality going into this.
It was coming off a rough 4 weeks. It was nice to prepare for one match. Not playing on the Sunday it allows you to really focus on the task at hand. CCU is a very difficult team to play against. They're always very difficult to break down. Very good on set pieces, very organized. They're a well-coached side. It came at a time where I guess you can look at it as, our backs were against the wall a little bit. And credit to the boys. They have dealt with the adversity. They responded really well. I think the mentality going into that match was positive. It was excited. Every session had loads of energy. Even in the warm up, sometimes it could be a little slow. Guys are kind of getting into the mix of things, but even the warm up was sharp. The activation was sharp. So the mentality going forward into these next couple games, you get a positive result. Positive results help with morale. So morale's high, energy's high, and we have a couple sessions that lead us into the match. And really looking forward to seeing how the boys kind of respond to it all.
And then Mark, for you, like we were all saying, a lot of injuries. You kind of stepped up and became that offensive almost centerpiece. Explain how you're kind of becoming a leader transferring into this team.
I'm just playing like I know how to do. I came here to bring energy, to bring opportunities, and that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
And then Diego, for you, you've been with the team a long time. Kind of explain some similarities you see from this team from some of the great men's soccer teams we've had here in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I think aside from playing style, there's been a couple of guys that we've seen that have filled the role kind of like Mark has. I feel like, his role was filled almost the same with Daisuke Takanaka, who played with us a couple of years ago. And so I think similarities as far as style, that's one big one that really helps us. He's a very fast, very agile player. They both are, and so I think that's kind of helped us bail us out in certain scenarios, and especially just attackingly create opportunities like Mark said. Overall, I think we've had the same objective, and I think unfortunately we've been humbled to the same objective of just taking it one game at a time, one day at a time. I think that's been a common trend in the past years, and that's what we're seeing this year is coming back to the point where every detail matters, every practice matters, every game matters, and we can't just look ahead to the RMAC championship. Of course, every year we want to win the RMAC championship, but I think every year we've seen that you can't just jump that far into the future, so I think that's been a big aspect. Of course, the team looks very different this year as far as personnel, but I think some of the leaders who are a little bit more outgoing are still filling their role and still kind of adding their personality and their style to the team that we've seen in the past.
My last question for all of you guys, took a lot of close losses at the beginning of RMAC play. Kind of explain what you guys learned through those losses and how you've been able to use them to try to make a late season push.
Go for it. I'll go. I mean, I think to a certain point we're getting a little repetitive, but the details really, I think those losses, of course, came after huge wins against Simon Fraser and against MSU Billings. But I think we got a little bit ahead of ourselves after those wins to the point where, we had a reminder of what RMAC soccer is about. There's a lot of speed and strength in the RMAC, and that's something that we didn't really see in out of conference play. So I think those, like I said, with the circumstance of our injuries and kind of our personnel playing on the field, I think it was a wake up call, and kind of like Coach B said, a lot of our younger guys got to experience and got to develop a little bit more within the style of RMAC to the point where now, they not only is it nerves, that are gone, but it's more like, guys being able to dominate and to understand the role. I think this last game against Colorado Christian we saw that in a big way, in our defense. Like, our defense was winning so many balls out of the air. They were being strong, they were being fast, and I think that was one of the key aspects that helped us win this last game, that could have helped us win the games before, and that will help us win the games going forward.
I think for me, what we notice is the intensity levels, energy. I think in the last games, we were struggling with it. We were going up and down, up and down. I think against Colorado Christian, we tuned in the whole game. We didn't zoom out, and that's what happened. We're attacking the whole time, trying to defend good, and we scored 4.
Yeah, piggybacking off both these guys, I think we performed well and executed a lot of what we wanted to do, especially within 18 to 18, kind of the middle third. Building out looked good. We moved the ball well. The press was, it looked inconsistent. Sometimes it was well executed, sometimes it wasn't, but that's just a press. I think the biggest thing in those close matches was execution in and around the 18. We weren't necessarily putting away high percentage chances. Other teams were, right? Or we weren't executing defensively within the 18, maybe giving up too many chances, and just not creating enough in their 18. So in terms of energy standards, you've got to meet the standard, if not surpass the standard, for 90 minutes straight. Part of being a young team is learning that you can't switch off at any moment. It's too competitive. Every team here can play. Every team at this level can get results against other teams at this level. So, CCU was a good example of, we pressed intensely. We attacked with confidence. We defended with a high level of intensity, and we executed in both 18-yard boxes. That's the finest details within these matches.
I'd say, guys, in the games that you lost, you were right in the games. So is it a matter of, okay, we need a lucky break, let's just go make our own lucky break? And it just looked like something clicked in everybody last weekend. Is that part of what you got to be a little bit lucky, so make our own luck?
Yeah, I think, like Coach said, the standards, especially in the RMAC, you either have to meet them or surpass them, and most of the time that's going to be the team that wins. And that standard comes a lot from an energy level. So I know, I can recall against like UCCS and Fort Lewis, we were away, but our energy was nowhere near their energy. And at the end of the day, energy is what can get you that lucky goal, that tap in goal, or that just one goal that you need to win. Like you said, we were close in those games. So I wouldn't completely count us out, but I think if you look back at the stats in a lot of those games, it was like, we would win in shots, but of course we're not executing those shots, and having the confidence and the energy to execute those shots, that's what's going to win you games, So I think, I do think, some games are won by luck because the better team doesn't win. But I think a lot of these games moving forward is going to be more of just bringing the same energy that we did against CCU, and putting away the high percentage chances, like Coach said, that we can, because it only takes one goal, especially in the RMAC, and we have the luxury of scoring 4 quality goals this past game. But I think these games moving forward, it's going to come down to 1 goal difference. And yeah, maybe it is that we got to make our own luck, but I think if we get that energy, then we'll just make it happen without luck.
No, I think, you can make your own luck with how you prepare. If you prepare well, you're confident. If you're confident, you execute. I think the preparation last week created moments where, we could have scored some more goals. One of the set piece goals we scored was a bit lucky. It wasn't the best service, but it fell to the back post to Mark here. He was confident, hit it one time, put it in the back of the net. It is a matter of, luck sometimes. Sometimes things got to go your way. But if you prepare the right way and you have the right intensity levels, right energy levels, you're essentially making your own luck at that point. So,
yeah, I think in football, You always need a little bit of luck. It's true. I think some games we didn't have it, but at the end of the day, you make your own luck. I think the intensity levels sometimes weren't there. So I think if we keep our energy, our intensity levels against UCCS and Pueblo, I think we can beat them.
All right, now to end it, we're going to do our question of the week. Given that Halloween's coming up, we're going to ask what your favorite Halloween candy is this time.
I'm gonna say Twix or Snickers, something like that. Yeah.
You go. I'm not a big candy
I'm a
person.
big candy guy.
Will I now?
You don't really get these for Halloween. Sour Skittles though. Enjoy good sour Skittles.
I think maybe Reese's is probably what I eat the most on Halloween, but one or two, and then I'm all candied out. So
All right, thank you guys.
appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thank you.